Captain, incoming message.
Intruder alert on deck 8. Enter authorization code. Command functions are offline. Automatic defense procedures initiated. Diagnostic complete. Sensors are functioning normally.
Hey everybody, welcome to a late night edition of the Trek Log. How's it going out there? We're actually living up to our name. Good morning, after Midnight's Edge After Dark, living up to the name. I'm, of course, Captain Rob. With us, as always, is Lieutenant Commander Tom Connors.
Good day, Captain.
Yes, and hopefully we're good morning. Yep, good morning. We're saying hi to everybody on the other side of the world here. I think it's like tomorrow afternoon over in Australia or whatever it is. So
it's the middle of next
for
week.
Them. Yes, and that voice you heard is our ever present, omnipresent, and our ever ebullient Miss Mecca Random.
That just means I'm here.
I'm listening.
Hello.
Okay, Tom. We liked having this gentleman on before, so we're gonna have to we have to beam him in as customary. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Let's, like I said, hopefully the transporter's still working.
That was bad.
Yeah, that was bad. Hold on, wait. We gotta give him. We have to give him a scan. Make sure he's okay.
I think my groin is still back on Starbase 6.
You got a couple parts missing there, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, get some back in the way back.
Okay. Okay, and once again. Yeah, once again, actually beaming into our little corner of the internet is Mr. Q Storm from the Red Shirt Podcast. Great to have you back.
Yeah, listen, thank you for bird boxing me, like I said on Twitter. You fucking made me rip my blindfold off to watch this episode. Now I'm gonna shoot myself.
Oh no!
Don't do that.
We tried to warn people about Discovery.
People ask us why.
Why not?
People keep asking us why you still watching. I'm like, it's called taking one for the team. That's what it's called.
It's called Our Boss Says We Have to. So
yes, Andre. Andre's you ever see what Andre looks like? He's a big 6 foot tall. He's a big 6'7" Viking. I mean, he's got that big sword. He's gonna, It's...
Well, for me, it's like continuing to go see DC movies. You go hoping it might be good. It might be. Take the chance.
You're holding out. You're holding out hope.
On my planet, this symbol means hope.
Oh boy,
it's an F.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway,
I just got that.
Hey, we got two super chats. $2 super chat from Trek Losifer. Peace and long life. Midnight Edge crew. Thank you very much. And Captain Hare, $2 super chat. Give me more 7-minute rants. Rob, Tom, Andre. See, okay, now somebody had a problem with my rant. He said I slur too much. I sound too disorganized. But that's kind of the point of the rant.
It's because you drink too much.
That's exactly it.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that out loud. No.
Yeah, so but anyway, yeah, you drink too much, then you make regrettable decisions.
Damn, this itches.
So,
no, he wasn't drunk, but yes, that is kind of the point. It's Rob's rant. He doesn't write them out; they just blah.
Even though you kind of wish I did. So
sometimes, I mean, I do a little bit of editing, to be honest with you, but not like that much.
Mm-hmm.
How curious.
So, all right, we have to talk. We have to get to this. Okay, we had to get this. We do have to get to this.
Oh God.
Why
Q Storm is here.
Hey, I was a staunch supporter of the show from this season 1. So I don't know. Go ahead. Let's just do this.
Okay. This episode is called. Where's my audience sounds? Yeah. This episode is called Motherfuck. Where's? Oh, here we go. This episode is called.
I don't care.
An Obol for Charon.
I prefer oh
fucking
motherfuck.
title. Who's coming up with these titles? Actually, this was written by that guy Jordan Nordino again. Gilmore Girls level writing. Okay. Yeah, the crowd doesn't like it. The Trek Log is filmed live on tape before a live studio audience, but maybe not. So.
Is this title
All right.
is this title worse than Magic to Make the Sane Man Go Mad?
This is up on par with all the rest of them from last season. They were all terrible and pretentious, like Lethe and Will You Take My Hand and Wipe Your Ass with It. I don't remember the name of the title, but
Will You Take My Hand? What's that like a Hootie and the Blowfish song? Will You
Yeah.
Take My Hand?
something like that.
That's Hold My Hand, Rob.
No, same difference.
So anyway,
okay. Why prolong the suffering any further?
yeah,
Okay,
let's just do the quick as you can.
okay. So
synopsis.
we have
Fucking
have three plots going on. Okay, first, there Q-Storm. I think I heard you say there was one part that did seem like Star Trek, and that was the very beginning when they were all in the conference room.
It was Pike on the. Well, there was that. Although Pike, the captain, wasn't involved with that. I was speaking of when Pike is on the bridge and he's kind of barking orders. I had a sense of Trek and how they were scanning for what was it, an asteroid or something? I don't know. Something they saw in space and they didn't know what it was. It was draining power and you know.
So anyway, okay, let's kind of run through these quickly, these plots one at a time because it's just too confusing. Okay, they're on the bridge. Like I said, the bridge, the big giant space ball gives them what they think is a computer virus. So apparently, Starfleet did not update their Norton antivirus definitions in time before they left space dock. So that's what I got.
Well, even before this happened, they really fucked up with technology because Kayla, the one girl, Lisa Left Eye, says, "Oh, something pulled us out of warp." Something pulled us out of warp. That's not how warp works, but nice try, Gilmore Girl writers. You at least got the term right, and you didn't say hyperspace.
So yeah, they get pulled out of warp by the big giant space ball, and the space ball is probing them, and they think it's a virus, and the virus is spreading throughout the ship, and it's cutting off life support, and of course,
did STD get an STD, Rob?
Yes, the STD did get an STD.
Is this how Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum knocked out the aliens in Independence Day with their MacBook?
Yes.
Yeah. Brought to you by Apple.
Just check.
Apple. The power to save the world. So, yes. Where's my endorsement? Where's my MacBook now for saying that? Jeez. But anyway, so they have to try to figure it. Yeah, so they have to try to figure it out, and it's cutting off power to the ship. It's cutting off life support, and things are going haywire. And so they finally figure out that it's not threatening them; it's dying. Of course, and Pike wants to blow it up. Good for Pike. He's coming up with solutions. At least
the white guy gotta blow it up.
Yeah. Well, look, the toxic masculinity wants to blow it up. Ooh,
it isn't the most Trek thing to blow up a sentient being, though.
No, that was barely out of. And not to stop everything here, this episode to me, I have to admit, was the first time I was really upset with the Pike scenes, because before this, if anybody's listened to our reviews, I have loved Anson Mount to this point. Whether or not he's good as Pike is up for debate, but he has been engaging, and when he's on screen, my eyes are glued to the screen. I'm wondering what's happening, what's going to happen, what's he going to say next, what the fuck's going on. In this episode, I was saying what the fuck's going on and shit like that too much, and it wasn't for the right reasons. And Anson Mount didn't even save the show. When they were on the bridge and they were doing the whole "we're going to act like it's a Star Trek show" thing, it was so fucking cringe. I don't know if anybody else felt the same way, but it was like, okay, this really is starting to feel like a show where somebody who watched one episode of Star Trek 20 years ago is trying to mimic what they remember Star Trek was. And I'm so sick and tired of every other scene being one of those scenes where, oh, if we just do this and we do that, then we reverse this and couple that, we can fix it and we'll know it. Then we'll do it. That's like every scene in this show.
And they even reverse the polarity literally.
Well, and you used to get it once in a great fucking while on, TOS and TNG and so on. Every once in a while, they would have one of those moments where Data would go, maybe if we do this and that and the other, and then, Geordi would pop in, yeah, and then if we do this, and da-da-da-da-da, and, they would do that kind of shit once in a great while. Not every fucking show 6 times a fucking show. And that's what this was, literally. That's what it felt like.
Hey, we got another super chat. ST Fanboy, I missed the Orville already, and it's only been a gosh darn week. I don't like taking the Lord's name in vain, so yeah, I have to censor myself.
Well, can I tell you what I didn't like about the bridge scene?
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's the same scene. I think it was. It's like every time the captain gives an order, these guys are like, "No, Captain, thank you, but no, we're going to do this. Trust me." Saru, you're sick.
There doesn't be a lot of unity. Yeah.
Go to sick bay, Saru. No, I'm fine, Captain. You need me.
Oh, don't even get us started on Saru. Okay, well, let's get real quick back.
Okay.
I didn't mean to take us off. That was my fault.
Okay, well, and like I said, so they figure. So of course they figure out that Saru, because he's sick, he's maybe it's not attacking us, maybe it's dying, maybe it's trying to teach us its language. And this kind of reminded me of a TNG episode, The Nth Degree, where Barclay becomes super smart and they have to teach him, and the alien probe has to teach him how to communicate with them, and he tries to bring them to their other dimension.
Yeah,
and
but that episode was good.
Yes,
True.
exactly.
True.
Exactly. It also reminded me a little bit of The Inner Light, where the probe actually had Picard live 50 years. So they cannibalized various elements. Okay.
No, don't even compare those 2 episodes. Are you kidding me?
No. I'm just saying it's like they try to take elements from the best episodes, but they don't know what they're doing, and so they put them in a blender. What comes out the other end is like, how like when you're a kid, you throw a bunch of shit in the blender, think you're gonna make the best milkshake ever, and then it's just like, and you're like,
that's
wow,
exactly what they're doing.
This sucks.
John, have any?
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So they figure it out, and they teach them language. They discovered later on. We discovered it said the Sanskrit, the Dead Sea said the Dead Sea Scrolls. Oh, and the last thing it recorded was Spock's location. So go bring us as fast as you can to go get Spock, and that we're probably gonna find Spock in the next episode. So in the other plot line, we have the Space Booker has been attach itself to Tilly, and it won't let go. And so they kind of try to figure it out. Well, how can we get to go? And we see Jet Reno again, who is totally okay, fuck that. We see Jet Reno again, so and it becomes electrified, and so they both figure out they have to use the mushroom drive.
I don't think she'd want to with you.
No.
Oh God,
Mecca maybe.
With Q Storm, maybe the old saying, once you go white, go running back to black.
Oh God.
Okay, that's bad Shlomo. But anyway,
yeah, you kind of drove that off fucking cliff and then set it on fire a little bit. I think.
Yeah.
Just like how they set the ship's farts on fire, though.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
So anyway, yeah. So they had to get the mushroom farts to try to get to communicate with the big Space Booker that's latched itself on the Tilly. And so they figure out that the space The mycelial network is not it's not a network, it's a place, and they live there, and Stamets has been upsetting it, and there's whole thing about going green and everything. And so the space booger envelops Tilly, and then they separated from her, and then afterwards they're all tripping on mushrooms because the space booger releases some LSD into the atmosphere, and Tilly gets stuck.
That's the best part.
What is it? What is the best part?
When they're fucked up on mushrooms, on space mushrooms.
Yeah, they're all tripping on mushrooms.
We're not making this up. It actually happened.
Yes, we've been joking about it. How long? And finally, somebody gets fucked up on space mushrooms. It's about damn time.
Let me ask you. So there wasn't anything wrong with my screen. I actually was seeing them turn into one of those dolls with the big heads.
Yeah, they did that in the
Yeah, they turned into big head dolls. Yeah. Hey, holy shit, now, man! We got these mushrooms. They got the best mushrooms ever, man.
And they don't realize how they were laughing at how ridiculous this is.
Hey, man, check this out.
Like that was a stem, man.
Nah, man, check it out, man. This is a really good shit, man. Okay, check this out. I got the budget, man. That's a horse turd. What do you give me a horse turd for?
Will it make you fly throughout space, though?
Yeah,
man. It make you fly at warp speed, man.
Can I also ask you that it's all taking place in an area where there's there's only those three characters that work in this. That's engineering, right? Is that the engineering?
Yeah. Where was everybody else? That's a good question.
There's only 10 people that work on the ship.
Yeah.
Because Michael Burnham does everything.
You know, Starfleet had some budget cuts, you know, and they figured out, well, since Burnham is doing everything, so Burnham, next week she's gonna show off her culinary skills. She's gonna be promoted to chef. So I keep saying that, but okay. Well, let's. And Tilly's actually, she gets sucked into the mushroom cloud, and they have to go rescue her next week. Blah blah blah. No. Nobody fucking cares. Okay.
Oh, you forgot the part where they drill a hole in her head.
Oh yeah, they drill a hole in her head while she's singing Space Oddity.
Tilly's head.
It's so funny.
Did them giving her painkillers? I missed that, right?
No, they didn't. But she was high on mushrooms, so it's okay. They were singing to distract her.
She didn't have any painkiller. They just fucking drilled a hole in her head, literally, like just.
And I was just joking on my video that I made like before I saw this episode how Tig Notaro might just be Jeffrey Dahmer experimenting on people by drilling holes in their head and pouring acid in to make zombies. How do we know she didn't kill everybody on her ship?
God, and she is the worst. I'm sorry. She cannot act.
No, Q-Storm.
She's doing. Oh.
No, Q-Storm. You remember that scene in Star Trek 4?
I was just about to say, I'm the older guy here. There's a scene that, okay, listen, Star Trek 4 was, up until a certain point, the most popular and biggest money-making Star Trek that everyone saw. So that means everyone saw Dr. Bones say, good God, man, you're going to drill holes in his head? Get away and let me do my medicine on this guy. So everyone saw that. Everyone saw
drilling holes in his head is not the answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. And an unrelated note, I think that was one of the cheaper ones too. So they made a buttload of money on it. But anyway.
I'm really curious to see what Eddie Murphy would have been like in that movie. I really am.
He was supposed to
be. You be taking my whale. I don't care what you say.
Hi.
Hey, get away, get away. Who was he supposed to play anyway?
He was supposed to play a cop.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
He was supposed to play a cop that was just, following them around, just seeing all kinds of weird shit he couldn't explain.
Weird. That would have been funny.
Hey, this guy just disappeared. I don't do horrible.
I know he's a big fan, so I'm not surprised.
He's the reason why I still refer to porn movies as Kirks. Yeah. And every time I watch an adult feature, every time I watch an adult feature, I keep hearing the music in my head.
Like a green bitch.
Okay. Okay. So anyway.
I was more entertained by that display than anything on this episode.
Of course you were, because that's why we have probably more people watching us than STD in America. That's sad. Sad.
Okay. So let's get back to the C. Let's get down to the C plot before okay. The C plot is well, okay. Saru's dying. The Ganglia says, "I sense the coming of death. I'm really sick. Mikey Spock, please help me." Yada yada. Oh, by the way, I'm going to figure out what is wrong with the ship. I'm going to be the one that figures out everything.
So hard to have good writing here, Rob. They did something called foreshadowing. Shattering. Yeah.
Yes, foreshadowing.
Remember, because Saru's like, I want you to take care of my journal or whatever the fuck it is. His
Trek logs. Yes, his logs.
Yeah, his logs. And she's like, oh, it'd be a great big honor, blah, 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 because he doesn't want to be forgotten and da, 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 da. So because from there he extrapolates, that's what this orb wants to do. Basically, it wants to download its life story into the computer so it's not forgotten because it's dying. Okay.
Yes. All I can
Bring
out
today.
There you go. That's Saru right there. Bring out your dead. And meanwhile, yeah.
And they also
go ahead.
Oh no, that's a later thing. I keep kind of confusing when these events are.
They're all concurrent. They're all concurrent, but I don't want to break it down because it's going to take far longer.
He already broke down the one part. So Saru figures this out, tells Mikey Spock. Mikey Spock, of course, has to convince Pike. Pike's like ready to blow the shit up like an average fucking redneck white dude. Holy shit, it's Bigfoot! Blow it up! Something like that.
It's coming right for us.
When he said low proton torpedo, I was like, dude, what? You're jumping.
He's like, like Rob just said, self-defense.
Quick, Ned, thin out the numbers.
Oh wait, now was that? Didn't he say that? Didn't they already determine at that point that I don't know what the asteroid, for want of a better term, it was destroying the ship? If it was destroying the ship, I could see that because
they
did that with the not the crystalline entity, but what was that? Galaxy's Child in TNG. They killed the mother, and then they did a C-section.
Yeah, that was TNG. What the hell was the name of that?
Yeah, I was gonna say this reminded me of a bunch of episodes crammed together. Yeah, but no, I thought it'd been a bit better twist if the alien was actually trying to destroy him and it tricked him. But no, yeah, you were right. It gave him like what they thought was a virus, and Saru figures out that there's a pattern in the ultraviolet rays that he's seeing, and then that's where he extrapolates and figures out that this thing wants to tell its story before it dies.
Did we know that he could see ultraviolet spectrum?
No.
Not to this point, no. So then, so then they figure that out. The damn thing's about to explode because that's how they know it's dying or whatever. Is the core of the orb is heating up exponentially at an alarming rate, and just as it explodes, it actually pushes the ship away from itself.
Yeah. Its final act was to save us.
Oh my god, that was the worst delivered line in the entire show. I laughed so hard when she said that.
When they were saying the temperature is up to 20,000 Kelvin, I wanted someone to turn on Nelly. It's getting hot in here.
You know what would have been funnier? Somebody would have been like, "That was hotter than what the Kelvin was when it blew up." But oops. No. That's right. That didn't happen in this timeline. I forgot.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll get to look at that in a minute. So anyway, so the
end of the story, Saru thinks he's dying, so he wants Mikey Burnham to kill him. And this is what we were talking about before the show, and we were all kind of confused about in a way. So I don't know how we're going to approach this, but basically, the way I gathered it was he thinks he's dying. Then all of a sudden, his phalange things fall off, and he gets better. And not only does he get better, he feels like Superman, and he's totally clear and woke. He's woke. And he sees now that his people have been, treated like cattle and whatnot. And even though he respected Georgiou's, command to make him respect, the first, what do you call
Prime
it?
Directive. General Order 1, Prime Directive.
Thank you. Yeah, that he would respect the Prime Directive and not go back and save his people. Now he can't do that anymore in good conscience because he found his balls. So he went through puberty. He got woke all at once. And basically what I gathered from this is whoever it was, his people that were suppressing him and treating his people like cattle, they had brainwashed their people into think when they get sick like that they have to kill themselves, because once they get through that sickness, their demeanor changes and they lose all their fear and inhibitions, and that's when they become unruly and they don't listen anymore.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's what I got out of it. So yeah, anybody else who has a different interpretation, please.
What made him get sick? I thought it was the asteroid thing.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
they
that
said,
triggered it.
It was triggered their quote unquote death.
Oh, so I guess it triggered it because they confused the word empathy with an empath. So apparently he can have empathy for the creature and feel what it's feeling, according to these writers.
You are the most empathetic person I know. Oh,
yeah.
shit.
And so they're kind of combining what they were kind of remember Deanna Troi could do, where she could like feel the pain of the stuff, like the I feel pain sort of message of the species. So now Saru can do that. Right. Because like you said,
thing I thought too was I was thinking, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, okay, now they just flipped that on its head. So now he's like, what's her face? And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
Deanna Troi.
Yeah.
I said when I watched Mecca, when I watched your video you just put out, it's like I think that's why they created these characters. The woman with the helmet head. What's the other? There's another, and Saru, the alien character, and they give them next to no backstory. That way, it justifies giving them abilities that we don't know about that just come from nowhere. Because that's an alien. We just haven't told you yet.
So lazy though.
Wade Smalling says in the chat, if they could only empathize with the viewer's pain.
I know.
You win the internet, sir.
I swear, again, it's like Jerry Seinfeld with George. Are you feeling anything now? You have to be a Seinfeld fan to get that. Are you?
No, and you were a staunch advocate of this show before, correct?
Listen, I was, because season 1, I could get. It wasn't the Trek I knew, but I could get something out of it. It was fun. It was fast. Because let's be honest, in the 21st century, things have to be a little faster. Like I look at Wrath of Khan. While I love that film, it feels slow now. But for God's sake, the writing has to make sense. The death scene with Saru. First of all, not to steal Mecha's thunder, I knew he wasn't going to die. He's the most popular character.
Yeah.
So don't spend 10 minutes baiting me and trying to make me cry. I'm an easy crier. I'll admit that as a man. I'm staunch in heterosexuality, but I'm an easy crier. I'm looking at that scene, rolling my eyes like, where's this going? Can we just speed this up? I thought Burnham and Saru hated each other, by the way. I thought they were in competition with each other.
Yeah, and where's this whole, I love you now, Michael Burnham. You're my bestest friend ever. Even though they're like at each other's throats, she was pretty much, her and Georgia were both racist to him. Oh, he's just a Kelpian. That's how they are. It's like, yeah, that's how they are. That's speciesism or whatever against him. Mm-hmm. She would shove him out of the way of her consoles. No, they hated each other. Where the hell this come from all of a sudden?
Okay. I know Rob, I'm sure all you guys will agree. I know Rob will agree because Rob strikes me as he's a writer. Okay. You can't give me a 10-minute scene where I'm supposed to feel bad about Saru unless you give me something that makes me once again empathize with Saru. It's like, don't give me a death scene to close out the show. It's like it changes. What am I trying to say? It changes corners. It goes left. And I don't feel
Yeah.
anything because you didn't build that up. He got sick. Okay, he's now sick, and now he's dying.
Yeah.
I don't really feel anything when you do it like that, when you plot it like that.
Well, and not only that, you made the point ahead of time, and I said this, I think, to Mecca earlier too, or Rob, one of the two. Or it was Rob. I felt like they had no stakes when it came to Tilly and Saru, because they're not going to kill him.
Yep.
I mean, this isn't like a Tasha Yar situation where we've heard that one of them is going to go off and do something else. You knew there was no stakes involved whatsoever in this situation, because you're just like, okay, I know they're going to get out of this, but
not only that. The other problem is we still don't know a whole lot about these characters, so there's no investment in them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly right.
We had less episodes of the Orville, half still, I think, almost to this point, and we cared more about a character leaving on the Orville with half as many episodes, and probably less than half, actually, if I think about it, right? They only did, 12 or 13 episodes?
Yeah.
So in that amount of time, they made us give more of a shit about one character leaving than the entirety of Star Trek Discovery so far, where they've had, like I said, twice as many episodes, more than enough chance and opportunity. They're not even limited by commercial time. They can drag these shows over an hour if they want to. There's nothing stopping them.
I mean, maybe it's just me. I'm not even really clear. I can surmise. I'm not even really clear what everyone's function is on the ship. I mean,
I don't think they do either. I'll be honest with you, Q, because I was thinking some of the same shit you guys were just saying earlier while I'm watching. It's like, where's the rest of the crew when it comes to like in the engineering and all that shit? What does this person do? And Mikey Spock seems to be able to do everything. Saru can do everything now too. It's like all these all of a sudden Tilly can do everything now, and of course whatever she can't do, Stamets can, and of course whatever he can't do, Tig Notaro can do. And it's like, what are these characters' flaws? None of them really have any flaws other than Tilly.
And they all suck.
And they're making her less and less to where we get to the point where her shit's getting annoying too in the show.
Yeah.
At least
Well, the other thing too is, remember the red letter media test where they say describe a character. Q Storm, describe the character Sulu. Describe Hikaru Sulu without saying anything about his job or his race.
Okay. He's a swashbuckler. He craves adventure. Okay. He's driven. And he's devoted, but he has characterisms about him, like that we see most prominently in The Naked Time. That alone, that episode, just I see him with a sword. I'm like, oh, that guy is a dope character.
He's generally calm and collective.
Calm, collective. He's avid fencer.
He's a little smirky now, sometimes too.
Now, describe something about describe something about, like, and that's a minor character too, and that's what they would consider a minor character. Now, describe something about let's just say, okay, not the Asian guy on the bridge, not Sulu. What do you know about him?
I don't remember the guy's name.
I know he had a line.
Nobody does. He had a line of dialogue.
Which one's the Asian guy on the bridge?
See,
see,
he might be. Is he the? No, he's not the pilot. Who the fuck is he?
The pilot girl is the Lisa Left Eye. I think
that's Lisa Left Eye. I was trying to think who she is. At least we know who she is. But that's because Rob's obsessed with her. So am I, because she's a redhead. But that doesn't matter.
Yes.
The reason why this is the season 1 of TNG. I've seen all the Star Trek series, but TNG is my favorite. TOS is sacrosanct, but TNG is my favorite. Even in the first season, everyone kind of got little subplots where it wasn't just action, like Tilly getting attacked by this goo, because that doesn't tell me who Tilly is. But they got subplots that kind of define them as characters. If you look at Encounter at Farpoint, you learn about each one of those characters. You learn about Deanna Troi. She suffers from the alien entity. You learn about Riker. You learn about Geordi. You learn about Data. I haven't learned anything about any of these. I still don't really even know that much about Pike. I mean, it's getting there, but
This
Yeah,
is what
barely
I
know
call
their names, right?
this is what I call Fortnite level writing. What you do is there's a lot of people out there who will say these are fictional characters. You can do whatever you want with them, only to a point. But there's so many. There's this style of writing now where it is like you are writing for a character for a video game, where it is nothing beyond than select these features. So select the type of weapon you want, click continue, without anything else, and then you could just impose whatever you want onto that character with your own personal fan fiction.
Well, before we get too much farther on the review aspect of this, continue your thought, because there's one more storyline we forgot about. But go ahead.
Which was the storyline? Oh well, okay, well, but
anyway,
okay, but like I said, all these characters are empty vessels, even the ones we do know. And like I said, Michael Burnham, her skill set just keeps changing to whatever the plot needs her to do.
Oh, Rog. Cartman in Fun with Weapons. Every time he turns around, he has a new power just because somebody else does. Yeah, that's right, Cartman. Or like the episode of Futurama.
Futurama, yeah. Delivery Boy, yeah.
And yeah, then there was the Spock subplot, which is another subplot going on. And basically what's going on there is while they were on their way to intercept Spock in the beginning of the episode, correct? Remember correctly. And
yeah,
they get sucked out of warp into this thing. And that's the thing, is the longer they're stuck there, the farther away Spock gets, and they're getting to the point where they're going to lose track of him. So of course they're on this time limit from the beginning. And then when we get to the end of the episode, they realize they can still get him. I think that's where they're heading out at that point. But of course, it leaves us hanging with the whole Tilly thing and what's going on with Spock and everything like that. So that plot is still going on, and they're going to drag this out. We're not going to see Spock for a while. I know this.
Can I just say this is this is not kind of tertiarily related. I've never the concept of we're going to lose track of a ship. It's something that I can't wrap my head around in Star Trek. Just the basic level techno babble, ion trails, baryon trail. We can track him. They could track ships into the next light year. And they're saying, "Oh, he's getting away from us."
That's because they have him on radar or something.
This is not something that happens in Star. He's getting away from us.
I know.
That's one of the biggest problems with the show is the techno babble is so fucking boring and off, and I don't believe it. At least with old Trek, even though I didn't understand it half the time, I believed that shit they were saying.
Oh, yeah.
When Data said, "Captain, perhaps if we do this and we flip that switch and we turn this around, that might work." And you believe that shit, But when they do this on this show, it's like they're reading off a cue card and they have no idea what they're saying.
Do you know why that is, Tom? This is what I've been saying over and over again. The Berman era Trek and TOS Trek, you had fucking I don't know why I'm getting so angry here.
Because we do.
We do.
You had fucking, that's why.
You had fucking encyclopedias that you could buy, and you had fucking tech manuals that you could buy. And the series, there are protocols established. There was is the word mythos? Help me out.
Mythos, the lore.
Yeah.
It was always based in science because they actually had a crew of like actual doctors and scientists that worked with the show, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
physicists and all that shit.
On Star Trek, if a starship meets an unknown entity, I could tell you I'm not a starship captain; they don't exist. But I could tell you what a starship captain is supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Send out a hailing frequency, Captain. They don't respond. They're not responding, but they are approaching, Captain. Okay, yellow alert. Prepare to raise shields. This is protocol that we as Trek fans know. You don't hear, "Oh, he's getting away from us."
No.
Yeah, what?
So you're starting to sound like Rob in season 1 now.
Oh, okay. Mecca actually just brought up in the chat. I'm sorry. You were going to say Q Storm?
No, I'm done.
Don't continue. Let the hate flow through. No, we don't want anybody to hate anything. That's the problem.
We're just saying why we hate it.
Guys, listen. I made concessions. But if you're not going to give me good plotting, you're not going to give me good writing. Right. I still don't know who the fuck these characters are, what they do, and you're introducing new characters like Jet Reno. You've lost me.
And we've had almost 30 episodes now to get to know these things.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask a question. I don't mean to monopolize. You tell me to shut the fuck up when you.
No.
Why does it make any fucking sense that you've got the ship about to explode, and I assume Stamets is chief engineer. I assume he.
No, he's not. He's not. He's the plant expert or something. So
yeah,
he's not. We don't know who the chief engineer is.
But anyway, you got these characters fucking around with Tilly. I mean, that's a captain would say Tilly has to die. I need my crew dealing with the ship about to explode. That's a stupid subplot when your A plot is the ship is about to explode.
Well, but they have to be able to get the space booger off of her, and that's the thing. We called it a space herpy last week.
Guys, the space asteroid, that could have been one whole story, one episode, and this whole thing with the thing on Tilly, that's another whole episode. And you know what that is? That's called not cramming all this shit together in 1 hour. So you can let it breathe and develop in 2 hours.
Yes. And that reminds
me. But I was going to say, it feels like they have a bunch of scripts just lying around and a bunch of unfinished scripts, and they're trying to cram them all together. And they got different writing teams at work. Hey, what do you got? What do you got? All right, let's work this together.
It's like Larry David. It's like Larry David's notebook that he carries along with, and he writes down notes for jokes to doing Curb Your Enthusiasm. That works because that's a half-hour comedy show, though.
Right.
This is an hour-long show that's supposed to be based in some kind of scientific.
No, because we love the Orville so much, they had to throw jokes in.
Don't even remind me of the whatchamacallit from Land of the Lost guy.
Oh, the fucking Saurian.
That's a Gorn, right?
No, he's a Saurian.
No, Saurian,
but he's a Slee Slacks or whatever the hell they're called. That's what he looks like to me. From Land of the Lost, he looks like one of those.
What the hell, you mutant offspring of comedy people?
That's right. And that scene was so cringy when he's like, "Yeah, I had a cold last week," and everybody's like, "Oh, I got 6 nasal passages or whatever." And it's like,
that's not a callback to a joke we really need to hear.
No, that was cringe. We didn't like that joke in the first place. And you're trying to be Dan. He's not Dan. Also, Dan. We love Dan.
Dan.
Dan's the man. This guy sucks.
I love how the captain walks in. Oh, you guys are meeting without me? Okay, cool. Yeah, Captain, we're done. What?
You're the captain.
Without the captain in his fucking ready room?
They don't even know what they're doing on their own ship.
Yeah, and that's the thing maybe where this episode pissed me off the most was because I loved Anson Mount as Pike up to this point. I didn't necessarily would say he was a Pike-ish character, but I loved him as an actor. I loved what he was doing on screen. I loved the charisma he had. In this episode, it was like they made him dumber than dumb.
You're 100% right. And I got to tell you, Tom, you tell me, who made more of an impact quicker, Lorca or Pike? I got to tell you, Lorca. Lorca, he turned out the way he turned out. But that guy grabbed the camera. He grabbed the whole set. I was on board with him, the mystery behind him. Pike, he looks the part. He has a little bit of that Kirk swagger. But like you just said, he seems so fucking ineffective. Like he's always reacting. Most of the time he's reacting.
Right. Well, at least
he's in a fucking glass, whether he's in a fucking glass pod and can't do shit, or he's on the bridge and Tilly's screaming at him, even though she's screaming at the spore girl. It's like
Herpy.
M. Night Shyamalan's sister or whatever, because she can see dead people. Yeah. No, you're right, and that's the problem I had with it too. Because, and I said the same thing last year, at least when you had Jason Isaacs, you also had Michelle Yeoh and a bunch of these other, stronger actors there around. In this instance, now all you're stuck with is like the B team. And yes, I consider Sonequa Martin Green a B team actress at this point. She ain't doing shit with what she's given, even if it's garbage or not garbage.
I hate to agree with you again. Sonequa Martin Green is my girl, but I'm going to take some heat from this. But every time, it doesn't matter what the scene is, she always looks like she's about to break into some 1865 freedom speech.
Well, yeah, and not only that, she's very stoic and trying to be Vulcan, and
it's not working. It's just not working. And I saw this other podcast where these guys were really clowning her on her wig, and I'm like, yeah, they're right. That hair, what is that? I mean, it's got to be symmetrical, okay? Listen, now this is just coming from me.
Yeah.
If my man Bryce, it's clear he's got a pair of clippers up there.
Well,
his line and his fade are always dope.
Okay, I don't feel so bad saying this. I was gonna say I might sound racist saying this, but Kid called and he wants his fucking hair back.
I was about to say that.
That's not racist.
She watched House Party one too many times.
She's just a huge Kid and Play fan. That's all.
I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind. I love the natural hairstyle. I love that. You don't see that on TV.
There's nothing wrong with that, but
they gotta work with it.
Yeah, this year she's got this Kid and Play thing going on big time.
Is it sad that it took? Oh, is it sad for me that it took like this episode for me to actually remember what her character did on The Walking Dead? Because she basically had to do the same thing with Saru that she did with whatever character she had to kill on The Walking Dead. Please put me out of my misery.
She had to put people down on him?
Yeah, I think she had to kill her boyfriend or some guy.
Oh yeah, Bob.
Yeah,
Bob.
I don't remember who the hell.
Not Bob.
Here's a perfect Mecca. I'm glad you brought that up. Here's a perfect example. Do you remember the TNG episode Ethics, where Worf asks Riker?
Yeah.
Yes.
How elegant that was played out with Riker telling him, "I will not help you kill yourself," and Worf gives it back to him. And there's a 50-50 conflict there. Here, Saru, we hardly know these characters, and yet I'm supposed to feel something when Saru says, "Here, I want you to kill me." I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, well, why didn't she say, "Here, no, we're going to find a way around this. We're going to find something to happen. Perhaps maybe this isn't death. Why don't you know? If she's that goddamn smart and a xenoanthropologist, why wouldn't she think, oh, maybe the ganglia coming out and retracting are your natural form of evolution? Maybe it's a puberty thing. All you know is that you guys culled or go crazy. Maybe we can cure that. Maybe we can find."
Yeah. Yeah, maybe, yeah. But remember what Riker told Worf? He goes, "I've been studying your culture. Mm-hmm. The honor falls to the firstborn son." He goes, "I cannot ask Alexander to do this." Well, too bad, because you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
You just recited those lines, and that dialogue says a lot about those characters, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Here, I'm just supposed to cry and I'm seeing people on Facebook and Twitter. Oh, if Doug Jones doesn't win an Oscar or not Emmy for that, I'm like, Doug Jones is amazing, but no,
that was not.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly
example of the same situation with a hell of a lot less time spent with characters, where it was a bigger gut punch with the exact same kind of scenario playing out. Infinity War, when Gamera tells Star-Lord, "If it comes to it, promise me you'll kill me," and he's like, "You feel that? You know exactly why she's saying it too." Even though he's got to sit there and play his little, cute boy game, and then he realizes, oh, she's fucking serious, and then he's like, "Well, why don't you just tell me too?" And she's like, "Well, then I'd have to kill you too, or whatever, or you'd have to die too, or he'd kill you too, whatever she says, however she puts it." But that's my point: is we feel that in that moment. We understand exactly what's going on between those characters. We feel Star-Lord's, whatever, just shock. And the fact that he has to basically promise to kill the woman he loves if it comes down to it, and then her asking that of him, You know, we felt that, and we've only been with 3 movies with these characters. 3 movies. That's it.
Yep. I felt absolutely nothing between that love scene between Saru and I just wanted to be over. I want to hit. I was at the point, plunge the dagger into his throat, please.
I was saying, please stab me, just so I don't have to watch this anymore.
I felt the same way when Tilly was getting her head drilled. I'm like, oh God, I wish that was me right now. I got a migraine. That might help.
I mean, she cried harder with Saru than she did when she lost Ash, who she was supposed to be in love with.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. And again, these two were supposed to be at odds up until all of a sudden they just had like a we're nothing but best friends moment, however many episodes back, and then all of a sudden, you know, it doesn't really seem to matter.
Right. See, and like with Spock and Bones, outwardly they act like they hate each other, but somehow I don't know if it's the brilliance of their acting, the brilliance of the writing, or those characterizations. You know, they love each other.
Well, not just that,
I'm not getting that dynamic.
Even if they don't love each other, there's a mutual respect there.
Right.
Yep, there you go.
What was it? I think it was Bread and Circuses. That episode where Spock is trying to devise a way to escape. He goes, "You know why you're not afraid of dying, Spock? You're more afraid of living. Because every day is one more day you might slip up and let the human side out. That's why." That's why you're not afraid to die. He's just like, there's that great scene, like I said, but that tells you about the character.
And that would have been the best dynamic if they kept that going through the show. And I'm glad you brought that up, Q, because that was something that one of the few things that I did kind of latch onto in the first season. And I think the rest of us kind of did a little bit too. And that was because of our disdain for Mikey Spock. And we liked Saru. And we liked the fact that this dude did not like her for the right reasons. And not only that, his species as is was set in alarm mode because this bitch was just trying to kill everybody. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's just the point is like this, he knew this chick was bad news from the start. Like he never liked her, knew she was bad news, blamed her for everything she did, and rightfully so. And didn't even say some remark one time about, well, if it was up to me, you wouldn't be out of prison or something like that, to that effect, basically. Mm-hmm. But since you're here and I have to work with you anyway, you know, kind of thing. That's the kind of camaraderie they should have had, if that's the right word I'm looking for, because then at least in the show we would have had somebody pointing out all the time that this person is not as great as everybody's fucking saying. But then they started having Saru starting to suck her dick too, so it got to the point where just it's a love fest for Mikey Burnham every scene. And if you, God forbid, even question Mikey Burnham, you either get killed or put in your place real quick. And then the one time she was right was that episode just before this when she wanted to tell that scientist guy the truth, and she actually listened to Pike and didn't, and then he went back down and did it anyway. So it was like, okay, the one time she was right, she actually followed orders and didn't do what she was. So, yeah.
We can't violate the Prime Directive. What's the difference? You violated already.
Well, now, we still have some more show to go through, right? Because the cliffhanger here at the end of this. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, well, we forgot about number 0.75 though.
Yeah, we
they did a Stranger Things with Tilly is what they did.
Yeah.
And Mecca's right. Yeah, they introduced a new character, number 1, or like you said, because it has to be 25% different. Number 7.5, 0.75, or number 3/4.
I call her 0.75 because she's not number 1. She's 25% different. And we only saw her for 30 seconds. Like she had a minute. She came onto the ship, had some dialogue, ate a burger. Pike insulted her for ordering a burger.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And I started feeling really pissy about Anson's character because I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm starting to zone out. And normally he keeps me invested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
still about number 1 because it's fucking number 1. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, but it's Rebecca Romaine, so
giggity.
Still looking good. So
yeah, but she came onto the ship and then she left immediately. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
she's supposed to be on this episode. Oh yeah, she was.
Her appearance caused me to ask more questions than anything else. Like, okay. She's on the ship, and like the whole thing with the burger. You're right. Was I supposed to be laughing at that? Is that a joke that you're just playing out too long? And also, why, if she exists, why wouldn't Pike install her as his number 1?
Yeah.
So they took the time to show they have a camaraderie. And so she went to have a meal and say, here's your report, Captain. Have a good time. I'm going to go back to the Enterprise now.
I think the joke there is that because it's Rebecca Romaine and she was a model, and so she's very concerned with her appearance. That like she's gonna eat a burger. I think that's the obvious joke.
That's such a shallow joke. You know why she was brought on the show? Just so people like us will say, "Oh, they really are trying to tie the two timelines together." Well done.
This is between me and that filthy cheap slut.
Yes. Oh, for God's sake! But there was didn't we have another thing to cover about that? There was 7.75.
Was there anything else? A stupid show.
But this
it made my head hurt.
I love how Burnham comes to the door of engineering and she sees Tilly being covered with glop, and I think it's trying to talk to me, Stamets. And Burnham's like,
God, yeah.
That's what it is. The asteroid's trying to talk to us too.
Oh, we need that too. Oh, we forgot how Tig Notaro fixed the ship with bubblegum and then it immediatty blew up because you don't fix a fucking ship with bubblegum, dummy.
And this brings me right back to what I was going to say before when we got sidetracked. It reminds me of what Matt Stone and Trey Parker said about writing South Park. They learned earlier on that you didn't have to have a bunch of B or C plots. Generally, the A plot was enough. And sometimes a B plot would help, support that if you needed it. But normally an A plot was just enough. Because with this show, shut up, Carmen. But in this show, and that's the case because you've got all these other, episodic things going on in one episode. On top of all the shit that they're trying to keep going for, the serialized part of the show. So they need to start picking and choosing what they're going to be. And find that balance that old Trek has found in the past when they've had like little, storylines that have carried on through a few episodes or, stuff like that. Or even Enterprise was kind of more of a serialized kind of Star Trek.
Right,
so.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. So why don't they need to decide, pick one or the other? Are they going to be serialized? Or are they going to be fucking Star Trek, like episodic Star Trek?
Okay,
because,
this is.
Well, no, I was just saying because they need to figure it out because I'm confused as fuck.
Okay, would everybody agree? And everybody go around and chime in. We're going to start with Q Storm. This series really has. You brought up a really good point, Tom. That thematically and just structurally, this Star Trek series really has no idea what it wants to be. Would you agree to that?
Yeah,
or would you?
That's the point I was just making. So yeah,
but not just structurally, but thematically, it wants to be Game of Thrones. It wants to be old Star Trek. It wants to be something hip and new. But it's all over the place. It has no clear sense of any real identity.
Yeah, I think when you say once it's all over the place, that is the best summation I can come up with. I mean, every episode this season, they've crammed so much shit into. It's like, what do they do? Do they do 13 episodes a season? How many episodes?
Oh, I think they're doing a full 20.
We had 15 last. We had 15 last season.
Oh, was it only 15? I thought it was more than that. It sure felt like more than that.
It felt like more, yeah.
Oh God. I thought they had like 20 almost, or at least by now. I said 30, or like we're almost 30 episodes in. It feels like it, but no, yeah, you're right. So they had only like 15 last year, or maybe it was 16, wasn't it?
16 sounds right to me.
Wait, just a second. Is anybody's audio like popping or clicking?
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's mine then.
So, regardless.
I just don't understand why they it's like they. I feel like it's kind of like Lost. If you guys watched Lost,
no,
it was intriguing, but it just was like, okay, sounds like looks like you guys are just throwing shit against the wall and see what sticks now. We're already there in season 2 of what took maybe to get to season 5 of Lost. We're already there in season 2. Why are they rushing through everything? And listen. to the directors, use a fucking tripod. They exist. Use a tripod. Slow everything down. Do a cut every 2 minutes per, let's say, instead of every 30 seconds.
30 seconds, or you mean just scenes? Cuts.
Yeah, you're right.
2 seconds. It's like MTV cutting, and you're completely right. And I'm one of those, I wish movies and TV and shit would slow down for the most part. There's nothing wrong with letting atmosphere and, situations kind of breathe. I watched Unforgiven last weekend.
Okay.
Do you know how many scenes in that movie where there's hardly any fucking dialogue or anything, other than just either something going on or whatever, and it just kind of builds on everything. Sure, you could have told that whole story in 20 minutes, probably half hour, but that's the whole point of a good movie. Is it doesn't matter how long it is or how much of the story is told in this section or that section, as long as you're invested in it and you care about the characters. I have no problems with stories slowing down a little bit and allowing shit to breathe. There's nothing wrong with that.
Since you brought up movies, I'll see your Unforgiven and I'll raise you No Country for Old Men.
Another great example.
The scene where Anton Sugar and the gas station attendant, best fucking scene of the whole movie. It's just two guys talking to each other, but just looking at the guy, you don't know what I'm a bitch when it comes to horror movies. I cover my eyes and plug my ears. That's how I was with this scene with two guys talking. So that means the director knew what the fuck he was doing. Give me a scene like that in Star Trek where people just talk.
No, they wouldn't be able to. They would not be able to. They would have the worst dialogue, the cheesiest, most out of your ass, overly melodramatic shit, like the Mikey Spock and Saru death scene.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Yeah,
that was the worst. Oh.
It was bad. It was so cringe.
I'm supposed to care more about Saru than I did in that scene, and the reason is because they rushed through his sickness, his illness. They came up with some stupid reason for it, and now he's about to die. It's like, I don't.
Well, logically, yeah, like we said, we know he's not going to. But so it takes all the stakes out of it. You're kind of like, whatever. When the probe leaves or dies or whatever, he's going to be fine. Or whatever factor. Yeah.
And again, because we've really spent no time with any of these characters. I mean, even if they do get sick, because you don't connect with them, you feel nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the one character they tried to make everybody connect with Michael Burnham, you don't care.
They made us care so much about the comic relief in TNG that an entire episode surrounding him with no action whatsoever is still probably hands down one of the best Star Trek episodes of all time, let alone
Which one is that?
Measure of a Man.
I'm sorry, say again.
Measure of a Man.
Oh yeah, okay. All right.
There's no action really in that story. It's all about Data. He's the comic relief still at that point. It was the turning point for his character where he kind of really took on a little bit different role in the show than he was before. Because before that, it was a lot of, we laugh at him because he's the childlike innocent who doesn't get the joke. You know what I mean? And they gave him moments before that, yes, but that show really just pinpoints exactly what Trek really can do with great storytelling, and it doesn't need a bunch of pew pew pew, as Captain Robert April just pointed out as a joke, in the chat. You don't need all that shit to make engaging, really good sci-fi, because you're just asking a question. Is this sentient being? Is he property, or is he really a sentient being? Is he have rights just like everybody else? And that question alone made it in one of the best episodes ever, period. Mm-hmm. So,
and one of the things I love about that, and we don't have that sort of generation now that basically stops and questions anything. Everyone's just knee-jerk, rush to react. They don't question, they don't think. They want instant gratification, instant social justice, instant likes, instant endorphins. They don't stop and think about anything. They don't debate. They don't understand. And I think a lot of that's generational. Sadly, like a lot of younger people, not all of them, but a lot of younger people just don't understand what it means to like question something like that. Like, would a machine be sentient if it makes its own decisions? And
That's too boring.
I know
Can't
they'd
wait
sooner they'd sooner laugh at some meme or something.
You know, Mecca, you know what? You just sparked another episode of TNG, one of my favorite episodes, The Quality of Life. The episode where Data has to prove that the exocomps are sentient. Brilliant episode. That episode, that kind of writing wouldn't fly today, whether Star Trek or anything else. And that's a fucking shame.
They might do it on the Orville.
See, that hurts me.
Or even I got another. There's another great episode. Actually, two great episodes. They're both pretty similar. Court Martial from the original series, and Drumhead from TNG.
Drumhead is like Arthur Miller on Star Trek.
Yes,
Well,
a lot of
TNG
great.
full of them too, but yeah, or I mean, TOS is full of them, yeah, too. But that's just one I knew right off the bat had no action in it. It was a very cerebral episode, a very character-driven episode, and where you have a lot of scenes where you're just lingering on people arguing, and you're engaged because you're like, they're right. No matter who they are, they're still technically right, even if they're on the side you don't agree with. That doctor, I can't remember his name for the life of me now, but
Maddox.
Yeah, Maddox, thank you. Where, he's making his arguments and he's not totally wrong in every argument he makes, but at the same time, we know he just wants to, he's being greedy and wants to excel his, use Data for his purposes is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, go on. Sorry, guys.
Same thing with the child when Data creates Lao and the doctor that was her apart there.
Oh, so there's so many great episodes. Family is another great one where Picard goes home.
You could never do that story today.
No.
It's just an old guy going to see his dad. Who cares?
Yeah.
They wouldn't even have a scene where there's hardly any action or anything. They always have to cut away to something or move the camera around to make it action oriented.
That's another thing. They move the fucking camera around because they know they got nothing in the scene. They got nothing in the room.
That's
because
because
they were trying to be Trek, because that's when they're at their worst. Have you noticed that? Outside of the second episode this year, they're at their worst when they're trying to be Star Trek the most.
Do either of you, does anybody here other than me watch Mark Zickery's channel, Mr. Sci-Fi?
I don't.
Mark Zickery, former TNG writer, actually has a great YouTube channel. Actually,
I've seen a few of his. Yeah,
and he brings up a lot of the stuff we say, and I recommend that to anybody out there. If you just love science fiction, you just like hearing interesting stories, and he is working on a new series called Space Command, which actually stars Doug Jones. And so hopefully we're going to get to see Doug Jones in some real good sci-fi coming up. But he actually is bringing up a lot of the same points that we're bringing up. And it's, like I said, the whole thing with the camera moving, Mecca brought this, brings this up time and time again. This is for people who tap on their phones and then see, and this is all, like I said, well, everything seems to be driven by analytics. It's all analytics. There's no room for storytelling. 18 to 34-year-olds like when things were in motion. They like a lot of action. They don't like talky segments. Oh, it's too talky. We gotta speed it up. It's got to be faster. It's got to be brighter. It's got to be more lens flare. I mean, but they're not putting any thought into it if it's actually good or not. And that's the biggest problem. All the other stuff is just aesthetic details. I mean, you have to get people invested in it, and they're not doing it. They're failing at that.
Yeah, even if this were not Star Trek, it would still be bad writing, and to me that's the benchmark right there. I mean, let me ask you guys this question: why do you think, like Jonathan Frakes did episode 2, New Haven? He directed that.
New Eden.
Yeah, the most Trekkiest of all the episodes so far.
But how do you get Jonathan? Doesn't Jonathan Frakes, who did this for 7 years and directed other episodes of other Star Trek series, doesn't he look at this and say, "What are you guys doing?"
Well, he probably does.
kind of like when I interviewed Nicholas Meyer. You could tell he was probably dancing around an NDA, but I asked him flat out, what were your contributions, and he couldn't tell me. He basically was like, there was so much I couldn't really tell you offhand. And then looking into it afterwards, from what people said, at most any of his contributions were in like the first episode or two, and that's it. So again, you got these situations where they have redone and redone and redone, and that's why I think that brings me back to the whole B, C, and D plots in these shows. I think that's why they're such convoluted clusterfucks, is they're trying to use as much of what they shot already before the reshoots, so they're cramming in all this stuff together so they don't lose out on what they did shoot in some way if they can manipulate it to fit in. And I think that's where a lot of the convolutions coming in, where like both you, Q, and you and Rob both brought up earlier, I think, where you said, it feels like 3-4 different scripts crammed together. And I think that's part of the reason why, because they're just so desperately trying to pull this all together. They don't have the funding, because look at what we just, been hearing about this last few weeks here with, Gary over on Nerdrotic. His source flat out said, season 3 is on hold right now till things they want to see how things pan out. But they renewed all the other shows except for one other show on CBS All Access that was canceled. I can't remember the name of it offhand, but it was like a one camera comedy type show or whatever you call them. And that's the only show that got canceled. The rest of them got renewed. STD is on hold, basically. And they picked up The Stand from Amazon. Okay, so if they need to get going on a season 3, if they're going to have a season 3 ready in time for next year, there's no reason they should be sitting around and waiting. If they want to have season 3 ready, they have to get started soon.
Even the Picard series is supposed to start shooting in April.
Yes. I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah. All I'll say about that is there's absolutely no progress on that. I mean, I don't even think they have writers or anything. They're just spitballing ideas at this point, aren't they?
Here's the thing. I've heard some rumors from some other sources that we don't normally go through, but it's a trustworthy source, and I obviously got to dance around what I'm saying here so nobody gets implicated. But I have heard through the grapevine that there are people inside who aren't on board with what's going on, but they have no choice. So they have to go with the flow. But these are the type of people who have been getting information out there to people like us and Gary and Doomcock and stuff like that, despite what some people may think that are antagonists or whatever out there are trolls. No, there's shit going on behind the scenes, and we can hope for some kind of unification before Picard goes down. But even if there is some kind of unification with a merger, that doesn't mean that everything's necessarily going to be cut and dry and clean. Because like we reported in our recent video, if they gave Kurtzman and his company any kind of stake in Star Trek going forward for 5 years, and they can't get out of that, this might be stuck under that bad robot clause a lot longer than we wanted.
So Jake Picard.
I was going to ask, have they assigned? You may have already answered this question indirectly. Have they assigned a showrunner to this Picard series?
Well, this is the one that Orsi's overseeing, ain't it? Or
I thought it was Kurtzman, but he has.
I thought it was Akiva.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob. That's what I meant. It was his little buddy, and then of course Kurtzman's also. He's really, because that was what he said in his interview that that show you joined us on, where he was saying, before I was a lot more of a helicopter producer, but now I'm really going to be on the ground and blah blah blah. So he's really sticking his hands in there now. So just wait, the shit's going to get even crazier yet, I bet.
If they ruin Picard, I'm done.
Well, keep in mind it's Kelvin Universe Picard, so
I'm afraid.
Yeah, they will. They will.
What does that mean?
Mecca Prime Picard. Okay, well, I don't know if you've had a chance to watch our recent video, Q, but it explains all the rights breakdown, exactly where they split off, why they split off, what happened, and
Mecca said you did something. I couldn't find it though.
Oh, it's on the main channel. Okay. We just dropped it not too long ago, but yesterday it was, yeah. Basically, it goes through all the rights and where things are sitting right now and why everything has to be 25% different, where that came from. And even though there's some rumors in that, we back it up with a lot of shit. This is probably one of our most backed up videos we've ever done. And there's stuff that we left out that we just couldn't necessarily verify or felt that he had the time to really include it in this. So there's so much shit that we left out that it's like that would make it even worse than what it is. Because according to Gary, according to his very reliable source that basically gave us the info on the shows that were renewed, which the day after he reported it, the report went out that they were renewed. Stephen King even announced on his Facebook that the stand was picked up at CBS All Access the next day. And according to that same source, Bad Robot paid for the reshoots. So there's something going on that they're definitely trying to hide from us, but it's connected to Bad Reboot in some way, and the JJ Trek Kelvin universe. And the whole thing breaks down where, not to get too far into it, but the whole crutch of the video is there's 3 different Star Treks. There's canon, which is what we know, which is TOS up through Enterprise, right?
Right.
There's Prime, which is where Spock leaves from to create the Kelvin timeline. That's 3. Okay, plus any infinite number of multiverses they want to create off of those.
Yeah, plus each show has its own mirror universes. And
Yes.
Can I just ask this stuff? But so what is Discovery? There's an
it's
Enterprise.
in Prime.
Which Kirk is it that is in that is going to get that Enterprise? The Prime
It's a
Kirk?
version. It's Prime. It's called Prime Kirk. It would be, but Prime Kirk, in theory, should be very close to what we know from TOS Clerk.
What?
Clerk.
Well, what the way we explain it is, the way we explained it is, and this is the way it was written in the script that I narrated from, is that there's a distinctive difference between Prime, which is everything we know from the previous Star Treks from 1966 right up to 2000. No, there's difference between canon, which is everything from 1966 all the way up through 2005.
And
that's
the easy way to
canon.
understand this is all the stuff that CBS owns.
Well, yeah, all the stuff that CBS owns. Yeah, what they call Prime, what they're calling Prime, what Alex Kurtzman and all his buddies are calling Prime, is their interpretation of what the Star Trek canon is. So it's not necessarily the same universe, the same thing as what we see from Measure of a Man, from The City on the Edge of Forever, Mirror Mirror. It's what Alex Kurtzman's interpretation of all this is.
So this Discovery is Prime, which is clearly not canon. So I'm wondering, what is their Prime Kirk?
Again, it would have to be it could be close to the canon Kirk, but it has to be 25% different if they want to monetize it. And this is the catch. Okay, here's why this matters. See, because in all technicality, if you want to break it down, if our understanding of what, and again, this is all what we understand. We don't know for sure. We've never seen the contract, but what we've been told and what we've read and found and people have said in interviews and everything like that, what we have surmised from all of that is that they could do whatever they want from canon if they wanted to. They could make a new Star Trek movie that's exactly like any episode of the old original Star Trek if they wanted to, but they couldn't monetize anything in it because it's technically owned by CBS.
Okay.
But if they change it by 25%, which can be in a various amount of ways, I'm sure they're given at least a few choices, and then we, how they can quantify that, and we bring up various ways that they do that by changing the uniforms, changing the aesthetics of certain things, changing stories of certain people, so on and so forth, and ships, obviously, and stuff like that. And then you get into the whole, part about where the 25% different matters with monetization, because if they want to be able to sell their version of it and make money off it, it has to be that 25% different. Yeah. The example we use is the Tribble in Into Darkness. They were able to use that through their license or whatever, basically. But if they wanted to make Tribble toys and make money off those Tribble toys, they had to make them 25% different. But since they wanted the Tribbles to be like the old series, they chose and opted not to go with the 25% different deal with that, and they got the special permission to do that or whatever, basically. But they weren't able to make any toys off it.
It all comes down to merchandising. Paramount wants to be able to have a Star Trek series or movie or whatever that they can sell shit for.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
but have you seen any Discovery shit on shelves?
Nope.
I haven't.
Who would want it?
Well, they do have Discovery. I bought a couple of them. They have Discovery badges.
Oh, yeah, I have seen those.
Yes. They have the obvious ones like shirts, cups, posters, stuff that CBS can get manufactured themselves. They don't necessarily have to have licensed. But the licensed material is very slim to none. And it's like just things like you said badges. They were going to have a replica, but that got pulled of the phasers. I think there's 2 figures that are set to come out. I think Saru and Michael Burnham are set to come out from McFarlane Toys. And those are the first 2 figures they've actually had. Otherwise, they're the very expensive ship models, and that's it.
Well, like I've always said, I accepted all the changes and all the, begrudgingly the Klingons and all that. Because I wanted to enjoy some Trek. I put aside everything, but I can't put aside writing. I can't put aside sloppiness. And that's why, if anyone out there listening, some of my people are going to hear this. Some of my Red Trek fans are going to hear this. I am upset because they're not giving me any of that this season. We're 4 episodes in. I mean, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but it's like, okay, this is going to be the episode where I feel like a Trek fan again. Okay, no. Well, this is going to be
a little bit in that second episode. I almost thought they were going to turn a corner. Yeah. And then they had the worst episode ever. They went from the best episode of the series to the worst episode of the series in one fell swoop.
Yep.
Because that last episode was atrocious. Not just for Trek, but for just television in general, and the extent and length that it went to, it was just uncalled for.
It set television back 30 years. That's how bad it was.
Well, you don't like dead baby skulls and silly Tilly.
Yeah, because that's how Klingons
are killing puppies or what?
And is Laurel's makeup does she look? Is it clearly polystyrene that she's wearing now?
She looks like
they did major changes, yeah.
Yeah, they made all these changes, but they made her face look too fat. She looks like a pig with a wig on it.
She got stung by a bunch of bees.
Yeah, she's got half of her skull missing. I don't know if you guys ever saw that picture. Let me see if I can find it.
Someone put it side by side. Was it one of you guys?
Yeah. It was Matt Deckard. So shout out to Matt Deckard.
Let me ask what was really the first warning sign we all had? Was it that remember that tweet from hanging out with my Klingon pals? Remember that? Mm-hmm. Wasn't that like the first warning sign?
That was the first set photo we saw?
Yeah.
Yep. I was like, what is going on? And my red shirts and I, we were like, maybe those aren't Klingons actually. Maybe that's just like the tennis balls, and they're gonna rotoscope things in.
No, I thought that maybe they were like ancient ones, but no. Or another species from the Klingon Empire, because something that could be sort of Klingon that may be interbred with another thing that became the Klingons we know, from like millennia ago. No, they could have done so many good things with it.
Let me link Tom to the here. This is the photo for those who don't remember. I'm gonna link Tom to the photo he's better at screen sharing than I am. So this right here is the first inkling we got things were about to go awry. And the whole thing. You got that, Tom?
That's when they're in like their battle garb. It looks like Roman centurion crap.
Yeah.
Or British centurion.
Right there.
It looks like something out of Stargate.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, that's
Warner's probably gonna copyright us because I had freaking Aquaman playing on there.
Yeah. Send super chats.
Warners are a bunch of assholes, trust me.
I got a reverb habit.
I even have somebody on the inside that I talk to, and he still can't really do much. But yeah, here's those golden-looking Klingons. Which one has the golden ticket?
That's what
this guy back here.
They look like xenomorphs from the Alien franchise. That's what I thought.
But that was when I saw that photo. I'm like, no, that can't be. That can't be the Klingons. That can't be the Klingons. No, you're kidding me. No, nope. That's them.
They had so many opportunities to make it right too. Like fans were giving them the benefit of the doubt. We heard reports of like the reshoots. People were out there on social media. People were saying on podcasts, on streams. This is before I even switched over. I was probably complaining about it when I was doing gaming streams. I remember ripping on Discovery when I was a gaming channel last like summer of the year it came out. 2 years ago now? We gave them so many opportunities to fix that. They could have just written in something. Oh yeah, that's a completely different sect of Klingons, but no. I mean, it makes sense because they're not our canon universe ones.
Yeah, well, and that was the moment I knew something was up, or at least because I'm pretty sure. I don't think I was part of Midnight's Edge yet when they released the first picture of the Klingons. I might have been, but I'm pretty sure I knew that moment shit was obviously set in either the Kelvin or whatever JJ verse, because they look just like the Klingon from Into Darkness. So I was like, something's up there. That made sense.
The second warning red flag to me was when they showed the ship, and then I rationalized, well, okay, maybe that's the ship before the Constitution class was even a blueprint. But no, that is an actual ship that's supposed to be going alongside, that's in the same timeline as the Constitution class ship. Mm-hmm. And so then I rationalized, well, maybe the what's it called, the Crossfield class? That's what the Discovery is. The Crossfield ship is more advanced, because we saw a holodeck on the Discovery in season 1. Well, maybe the Constitution class ships didn't have the technology that the Crossfield ships had, because in that first Discovery novel, they team it was called Desperate Measures, I think. Spock comes aboard the Discovery, and he starts. The writer, I forget who wrote it. He has Spock remarking at how much more technology is on the Discovery than on the Enterprise, and he remarks that, oh, the captain has a ready room on this ship. So I was thinking, well, maybe that's what it is, but nope.
We're starting to sound like me now. Nope. You know what? You want to know? You want to know something? The ship was the one thing. The actual design of the ship was one thing I did not have that big an issue with, because it is a Ralph McQuarrie design. That is actually from the old Ralph McQuarrie concept art of and actually he did a lot of the concept art. He did a lot of science fiction concept art. He did concept art for Star Wars.
He did Return of the Jedi, didn't he?
All the Star Wars.
He did all of them.
Okay. All right.
And if you go back and if you look at the original concept art for Star Wars, it is very different from what we got in the end.
Well, I think, didn't George Lucas nab him, because didn't he do 2001?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
I think so. But either way, yeah. Go ahead.
But like I said, it's kind of a very kind of classic 60s sci-fi book cover kind of feel, and that I kind of like that. That's kind of a thing I kind of like. You look at like the book covers for like the Philip K. Dick books like Ubik and Do Android Stream of Electric Sheep and that kind of stuff like that. And for me, I like that aesthetic. I can understand why some people don't like it, but at the same time, for me, like I said, that was the one things I had the least amount of problem with.
Well, me, aesthetics and certain things, little things, I can forgive, and I don't care. I mean, I know some Trekkies are really into that, and they, they're into the designs and everything, and it has to be, they like when they actually take the time to explain why something's different when it comes to like something that was different in TOS compared to TNG or something like that. But that kind of shit the cosmetic shit doesn't bother me so much, as long as you have the spirit and the story's good and the characters are good. That's all I care about. I really don't care so much about the ships and stuff. Like, that's why I was able to at least partially enjoy the JJ movies to a point, because they had great actors. They were convincing in their roles, even though the story was pretty cookie cutter. The first movie, the second movie was shit, the third movie was serviceable, you know. But as far as like an amped up, electrified Star Trek and it not having to adhere to the original canon because it's in an alternate timeline, I had no issues with that until they started fucking with shit and lying to us. And that's kind of the big thing in the video too that we were talking about before Q was they're basically lying to us and been trying to condition us since 2009 Star Trek to use Prime instead of canon. And there's a difference. And they're basically duping us all this time by thinking that there isn't when there is between canon and Prime. You know what I mean? When we see Spock in that movie, he's the same Spock that we see in TOS and the Star Trek movies. No, he's not.
No.
He's not the same Spock.
Yeah.
Even
like
though
I said, this is all,
him, he's still not the same Spock.
and like I said, this is all kind of, yeah. And like I said, this is all supposedly leading toward replacing, overwriting the original series and everything we know.
Yeah. So. This version of Spock that we're going to get in STD is supposed to be the exact same Spock that we see in the 09 Star Trek, which is not the same Spock that we've gotten for the last, X amount of years before that. Almost 50 years.
Yeah. That's why I said on Twitter, I think we need to face facts. Star Trek that we knew is no longer.
Yep.
Sadly, you're correct on that. And hopefully it can come back, but Kurtzman's a fly in the ointment, a big fly in the ointment. And I really wish that the Drekkies and the people who fight us tooth and nail would just see what we're saying, because it's not that we hate Star Trek. We fucking adore Star Trek, or we wouldn't sit through this garbage. Besides the fact that, Andre pays us to do it, basically, in so many words.
Doesn't pay me to do it.
Not really. Well, I pay you, so you know what I mean. I basically pay us to do it, but it's at Andre's request. But still, the money goes down the way, you know how it works out. But still,
trickle down
I'm being a
economics.
smart ass,
It is too. It's sadly it is. But again, I would love to have a Star Trek that I was proud of. I wish, and if anybody at Disney, the tie-ups listening, go buy Star Trek from fucking CBS and make Orville Star Trek and forget Discovery, leave it back where it was.
Can I just say? Let me just say this: the one thing that makes me feel that soothes my soul is that I've got 5 series of averaging 7 seasons that I can look back on and go back and say, oh, I remember that Voyager episode. Captain Janeway kicked ass. Oh, I remember that episode where Picard served Tomalak and made him look like an idiot. I can go back to that archive, and if that's all I get, I'm still a happy guy. And I've got 9 movies, 10 movies that I can pick from. If that's all I get, okay, fine, so be it.
Oh, that's what I always. That's a very common sentiment,
right,
among a lot of people. Yeah, we have plenty. I mean, yeah, if new Star Trek is going to be bad, then I'd rather have no new Star Trek.
Exactly.
I have plenty. I have plenty good stuff to hold me over, and then when they want to get it right, when they want to get it right, then then we'd be willing to give it a chance.
And that's also why, when the Drekkies say, oh, well, then we won't get any Star Trek at all. It's like, yes, we will. It'll be better than this too, because they'll learn from this.
Yep.
I've made that point I don't know how many dozen times, and I think you just made a video about
I did. The top 5 fanboy and shill arguments. I need to make another one though, because I forgot. Oh, you're fake news, or there's a few more I could.
like we keep pointing to the McLean.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, I remember when McDonald's closed down because the McLean failed. Remember, we never got McDonald's again because of that. And somebody even tried to argue that analogy with me, and I still pointed out Discovery is just another, burger in the joint. So TOS is your standard quarter pounder. TNG's the Big Mac. Down the line, Discovery is just another burger at the Star Trek restaurant.
Enterprise is like the hot and spicy
Discovery's-
chicken that some people like, but
Discovery's-
some people don't.
Isn't like
Yeah.
Discovery the fillet of fish? I mean, it's not.
It makes you sick. Fuck. Yes. It's bad play fish.
No, I think it's the McDonald's spaghetti that they canceled.
McDonald's actually tried pizza for a while.
Yes, they did, unfortunately. Sorry, Q, you were going to say something there, and I stepped on you there, I think.
Q-Star? Oh, Q-Star.
Sorry,
Hello?
I had my mute on. Sorry.
That's all right. I thought
Um,
you said something there, but I stepped on you there a little bit.
no, not at all. I just remember Star Trek Nemesis, which I can pull things out of that I like. Otherwise, it's a wretched film. Marina Sirtis calling who was Stuart Baird an idiot for not knowing the characters, his direction, not knowing that Geordie LaForge is not an alien. For various things, she called him out as an idiot. I would love for Kurtzman during this Picard series to invite Marina Sirtis back so that she can possibly bang some sense into that guy's head.
Oh, that would be great. That's probably why they haven't asked her back.
I mean, I follow her on Twitter. She is not afraid to express how she feels.
Oh, yeah. Still looking really good for 62 years old.
She's yeah.
She's holding up pretty well. She said about that she always hated that dress when they finally put her in the standard uniform. She's like, why couldn't I have worn this all along?
And then they handed it off to Jerry Ryan and Jolene Blaylock.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, I suppose, but we should probably...
Yeah,
who's the hot chick on STD? Because Tilly isn't traditionally hot. Maybe she's just the hottest one in a bunch of knuckleheads on the ship. I mean,
let me
Lisa Left Eye kind of, but she's not really. She's more girl next door.
Well, I think the hot chick now is the woman that came over with Pike, the one who has the braces on her eyes.
yeah, well, of course, that's Rebecca Romaine Stamos.
No,
No, the other one.
Or the other one.
She looks kind of pinkish.
Oh, the one with the shit in her face?
Yeah.
Nan is her name. Nan. She said it. My name is Nan.
Oh.
Yeah, like Indian bread from that you get it.
Every time I hear her name, I think of chicken tikka masala.
Yeah.
I get hungry.
Yeah, I know. Like naan bread.
You can't have none. So no.
But to answer Mecca's question, you're not gonna, and I don't necessarily have a problem with this. You're not gonna see this show was made for, and I hate this term, SJWs.
It is.
It was.
And that's okay, except when they beat me over the head with it. But you're not gonna have the hot chick anymore, which I'm fine with it. That was kind of demeaning anyway, I thought. But give me just tell me good stories. I'll take any crap, any agenda you have. Just give me good stories.
Or a hot chick to look at to break up the monotony of the boring shit.
I always call it an open-minded dick measuring contest. Oh yeah, well my show has like a black woman for the lead. Oh yeah, well my show has an albino midget for the lead. Oh yeah, well my show has an autistic Asian that's a quadriplegic as the lead. It's just like they're trying to one up each other.
Those are all real shows, aren't they?
Probably. And the problem with that is, and I wish that the people who are defending it would see this, they're just using them as pawns. Because really, Star Trek has always been diverse. Star Trek has always been inclusive. They're just using this as a way to make it not only critic-proof, but to where they know they will have a slew of people defend the show no matter what, even if they're not Star Trek fans, because it's progressive. Which, like I just said, Star Trek's always been progressive. So standing up on a pedestal and announcing it and acting like you're the first one to do it just demeans everything that Star Trek meant in the past, especially Nichelle Nichols. Considering the role she played. I mean, you cannot, and I know Q, I'm sure you'll agree with this, and I don't mean just because you're black, but just in general, that she was one of the premier black actresses on television. And not only that, she was a lead on a television show in prime time, which is basically unheard of in the time that she was on television.
There was her, and there was also, I can't remember the
Diane Carroll?
Yeah.
Diane Carroll. That's
there was very, it was like, you had something that was
No.
Progressive, so progressive for that time, it dwarfs anything.
They had a Russian. They had a Russian on the bridge, right? And a Japanese guy, like right after World War II, a Russian on the bridge in the middle of the Cold War.
Ooh, somebody say my name. A Japanese.
I could be mistaken, but I thought Gene Roddenberry wanted to have either Spock be black or have another black character on the show as well. But they wouldn't let him.
Spock was originally supposed to be red. His skin was supposed to be red.
Right. But didn't they? But I know that he said he wanted at least one other. I think one other.
Number one was supposed to be. Well, we all know it's supposed to be female, and they didn't want that.
Yeah. But the story was that because of the black and white televisions, his skin would look black.
Right.
Because of the red makeup. Yeah.
Well, I don't remember the whole story, but I think it went around, just to finish mine real quick. Sorry, Rob. Was that he knew that they weren't going to let him have two, but he figured he could use that as a tactic to negotiate to get Nichelle Nichols, was the point.
Okay.
I was getting to. I don't know if somebody else has heard that story. Please correct me if I said anything wrong, but I swear there was something to do with that. It was either another black character or some other ethnicity that they said, no, you have too many already, and he used that as a negotiating tactic to make sure he could keep the black actress as a lead, because that was another thing they were against from the start. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry, Rob.
Well, you guys were saying, I wish all the people that they're trying to pander to would see that they're being used as pawns. But Tom, I'm about to send you a link. Remember that brouhaha? Not to get too political.
It was Spock. So yeah.
Remember that brouhaha about that razor commercial a couple weeks back?
The Gillette thing.
But, I don't know what you're talking
about. I tried to tell people it's pandering. Oh no, it's about a message, man. They're trying to get woke. Oh yeah, they're trying to get woke. Take a look. I mean, take a look at that headline if you could share that. Bearded millennials causing crisis in the razor industry. As the unshaven, yeah. So, okay, like I said, you don't think you're being used as a pawn? That's okay. It's nothing more than pandering. Okay. I mean, yeah, if they're
look at the article. Look at that article you ranted about. I made a video about that yesterday. Basically they paid. It wasn't even an article. It was a paid advertisement for the New York Times. I don't know if
you was aware of this, are you? The New York Times article that you wrote?
Q, did you read that?
Oh,
New York Times piece?
No. What are we talking about?
They did an interview with Sonequa Martin Green and what was the name of the producer?
Heather Caden.
Heather Caden, thank you.
It wasn't really
for CBS All Access, basically, and it even had to stay at the top of the page.
It wasn't really even an interview.
I saw Mecca did something about this, right?
Yeah. And Rob did a rant about it. It's basically they're basically saying, look at us, we're so progressive, we break the glass ceiling, we're women. And so I listed all the horrible female characters on the series, compared Tig Notaro to Jeffrey Dahmer, compared Laurel to the rapist killer that she actually is. Said how Space Hitler murdered all her people and cannibalized people, and Tilly's basically the poster child for autism. And Michael Burnham's Michael Burnham. I mean, we don't have time of day to say how awful she is. But yeah, it took me like 15 minutes before I even got to the ad. Before, because I was just listing off why these women are terrible characters. They're all horrible people.
Well, we're running long on the tooth here, so but we'll definitely bring this thing up on a future regular podcast. I'm sure we'll talk about it Sunday when we get together with Andre and I believe Doomcock's joining us and Mecca and stuff like that on the main channel for a big Star Trek talk. So we'll see. I think we're going to talk to you guys too, maybe Q, but we'll discuss that after the show probably. But anyway, so yeah, Captain Rob, should we do our final thoughts on this episode, or what do you think here?
If you thought you're waiting for this to get better, you're still waiting.
Yeah.
Q.
It's all about telling me good stories. You can, if they have an agenda, I don't care. Just don't beat me over the head with it. I do feel like this season, it's all about everyone feeling sorry for themselves. Man up, grow a pair. Just give me good stories, good writing. I'm all about inclusivity, diversity. I love that part of this series, but it all falls flat if you're not gonna. If you don't give me that, it does become pandering. If you're gonna give me that just in sacrifice of writing and plotting and
You
story.
want to know something? You want to know something funny though? I actually said to my mom the other day, because my mother loves the movie The Godfather, and she was talking about The Godfather, and I said, "Mom, do you think anybody do you think people would be upset these days when Vito Corleone slaps Johnny Fontaine? You can stop by being a man. Ooh, Godfather, Godfather. Do you think everyone would say?" Do you think anybody would say, "How dare he impose gender roles upon him? How dare he tone police?" Do you think that scene would?
Yes, they would.
That scene wouldn't play well today, would it?
There's stories of complaining about pronouns now, like he and she.
Anyway, Tom, let's your final thoughts.
I don't know how much more I can really take of this, and I'm not kidding. Like, I might have to seek some kind of literal psychiatric help for after this. The show is getting like it's abuse at this point. It's not even funny.
Can I add something, Tom? I just for you guys. You guys are not saying it has nothing to do with the fact that they're trying to be diverse, with the fact that they have black characters, with the fact that they have women.
No, they always had it.
You're not. You have no problem with that. I just want to make clear, because people are going to hear this, and I just, I like you guys. I want people to like you and like me.
You want to know why I ever watched TNG as a kid? And this is the honest to God truth. I don't know if I've ever said this on the show before. Q.
Yeah.
Because I knew Geordie LaForge from Reading Rainbow.
All right. Yeah.
So if I'm racist, then why the hell would I even bother? I've never been raised that way, and it's the stupidest thing I ever hear when somebody says, "Oh, you just don't like the show because it has a black lead." I'm like, no, it has a bad actress, or at least it's a bad actress playing a very shitty part from very shitty writers trying to lie to us and use Star Trek as a pawn, basically, and it's just.
No, I just wanted. You know what? I just wanted to get that out there that this is all based on just it's not good.
It's not good. It's not good Trek. It's not matching up. And for me, frankly, I'm pissed that they are so insistent that this is going to match up to like the TV Star Trek universe.
No, it's going to match up to Prime, but it's not going to match canon.
Yeah, and I don't care about their version of the Prime universe. I care about TV canon Trek. I care about TNG. I wouldn't watch this if I knew it were in the same sort of pocket of the universe as fucking JJ Trek. I would have skipped it like I skipped the movies, because that stuff I don't care about. I don't buy the toys. I don't buy the merch. Most Trek fans don't, because those are action adventure oriented. They're Trek for people who don't like Star Trek. And I'm pissed that they are trying and deceiving us and lying to us to get us to watch.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll just suffice to say, I would still hate it if it was all white people. that's
I would.
Yeah.
I hate it if it were filled with Christina Hendricks and Chili and every other like white hot redhead.
It could be white people. It could be just a bunch of hot chicks doing nothing but sex shit all day long, and I would still be like, no thanks. This is not Trek. I mean, I'll watch it for personal reasons, but
yep.
No, I adhere to the Dennis Leary principle of race relations. My hate is not based on race, color, creed, religion, or sexual orientation. My hate is based on performance.
Yeah. No, I hate people like for personal reasons, not for like the color of their skin doesn't matter like at all. It's such bullshit that the people. I was raised on Star Trek. I was raised on in the 20th century.
And I've had a lot of diverse friends who want to come to my defense if I'm in an argument with them. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. I don't want to pull that card. I don't have to. I shouldn't have to. I don't need my place your diverse friend here playing my diverse friend coming to the rescue for me. I don't need that. Let me, handle this myself. All that does is just put you in the middle of a situation you shouldn't be in the first place, and because of your color or your, what you prefer as far as your sex or orientation or what have you, whatever the argument is pertaining to at the time. Because that's happened to me so many times. It's like, no, thank you, but no, thank you. I don't want you to get wrapped up in this shit for the wrong reasons. And that's the problem.
Well, the SJWs care more about it than normal people do. It's like, why are you so obsessed with that?
What means more is people like you, Q, and I don't mean. Okay, I shouldn't say it that way. Because
be careful, Tom.
Yeah, it does matter with diversity, like Q, and because I was also going to include Mecca. That's why I said people like you, and I was going to say Mecca. I didn't mean it to be but that did come out sounding that way, unfortunately. But no, that was my point. Is it does matter when we have people that are considered diverse speaking out and saying what they feel about the show, and because they don't want you to, they don't want to. They want to keep Mecca from saying this shit.
Oh, they hate me.
You know what I mean? And as soon as they get wind of, you're black and you hate Star Trek Discovery or you don't like it anymore or whatever, however you want to put it, they might start coming after you too. Don't be surprised, man.
Well, no, I had someone who shall remain nameless. Was it today?
I was complaining. Yeah, you were, weren't you?
About the Klingons, and they mentioned, you like the Klingons before, but Klingons in blackface. I'm like, dude, I can't talk to you anymore.
Really?
I can't,
That's not what that is.
So let's move on from that.
That's fine. It's getting to the point where it's ridiculous that they're even trying to make this an argument, I guess is what I was trying to get to in the first place. Because it's getting late for all of us and we're tired as hell with the show.
We're gonna say something.
It's tiresome, is what it is.
We're gonna say something we can't take back.
Well, I'm not trying to even say that. I'm just saying it's getting ridiculous that we even have to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Well, but it's out there. I'm not going to mention another actor who could have opened up a dialogue about who opened up what could have been a great dialogue about race. I'm taking hits back and forth about that because I'm like, let the guy saying what he felt, and we can hate it, but it's a dialogue that has to happen.
At least he was honest about it,
right? So,
and what he was saying was just
it has nothing to do with the fact that this person's gay or that person's that or this person's that. I welcome it. It's just I just don't like this writing.
I'm glad you brought that up, though, Q, and we normally don't get into that stuff on Midnight Such, but it's a very good point because it's exactly what we're getting at here. It's the quote unquote SJWs, NPCs, White Knights, whatever you want to tag, you want to put on them, the Drekkies, whatever. We're going out there and claiming to be White Knights and fighting for diversity and everything. Is they don't understand. They don't understand that they're missing the point. They're missing the entire bigger picture here. Liam Neeson's story, for instance, movies like Blazing Saddles and other things that we brought up on the shows before. You're missing the entire point of what they're about. Cool Runnings and stuff like that. School not showing it because they said it's racist. It's like, did you watch the movie? Do you understand what it's about? It's about these people that are rising above it. They're not gonna sit there and be put down by all the people, and you're missing the entire point of the movie by thinking the movie's racist. It's not. It's the absolute opposite of racist. Just like what Liam Neeson was telling you is the absolute opposite of racist. It was the moment he realized he was being racist. And then from his story, they should have extrapolated that this guy had a moment of growth, character growth, things that happen in stories too, that used to happen anyway before people were perfect all the time. He realized at that moment that was not the way to think. And it was probably because he's never actually had a relationship that was, meaningful with anybody outside of white people before that. And he learned at that moment he had to change. You know what I mean? It's like, why is this even an issue? Why are we even bringing this into this argument? Because Star Trek has always been inclusive, always been diverse, and it's something that everybody from every race, creed, sex, orientation, what have you, religion can get into and talk about with somebody and relate to on a level and connect with them no matter what the other person on the other side of the aisle is. In politics, too. I've seen so many people, that's the one thing that even if they're, Democrat, Republican, Independent, what have you, they've still been able to at least rally around, Star Trek. It doesn't matter at that point what you hate, love. because we all are in this together as far as Star Trek goes. And when it comes to Discovery, we all need to stand up and say, look, this is not right to do this to something we love. And
Well,
truly,
no, they're too busy.
in your little argument to critic proof it over diversity by belittling everything Nichelle Nichols has done in the past, belittling everything Whoopi Goldberg and George Takei and everything they meant to the show before it. You're saying what they did means nothing now by doing that. And all you're doing is using these people to further your show on CBS All Access and keep it away from the masses anyway, because they don't want to pay for your shitty goddamn app and whatever to watch fucking reruns of Survivor.
Well, and not only that, when you do complain about it, you get on like Twitter or something, and their first thing is just insults and attacks and calling you a twat or whatever the hell they're doing. Like, dude, learn to open your mind a little bit about why people might not like this, you know? Maybe less name calling and less discovery loving and just mindless brain dead stuff. You know, you got to open your mind to the good and the bad, and they don't do that. They just resort immediately to name calling, arguing, trying to bully and intimidate. I'm like, I'm in second grade again, getting bullied for watching Star Trek, but by Star Trek people.
Hey, I was called fraudulent, bitchy, and what else was I? Fraudulent, bitchy, and pathetic.
I don't ever remember anybody.
That was just today.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember anybody ever saying, I like Cisco because he's black.
No, I like Cisco because he's badass.
I
He's
never
like my favorite
once
captain.
my entire fucking life ever heard anybody say that. Ever.
I remember in '95, someone did ask me, "Oh, how do you feel about a woman being captain on Voyager?" I said, she's a captain. She tells people to do something, and they do it. What's the problem? That's all it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
She's a captain. She's there for a reason.
I never really thought about it until people made a big deal out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we could extend this conversation for another hour.
We could.
Yeah.
We're getting long in the tooth.
Yeah,
I would just say this. Like for me, I did admire the fact that they had a black captain or a black commander at the time. The problem I had was I just didn't like Avery Brooks as an actor.
That's fine, and that's understandable. And I'm not, trying to say you have no right to that opinion either. I'm just saying, in my personal, anybody I ever talked to about Star Trek, whenever they brought up Cisco, they never brought up the point of his race as a reason why he was either cool or not cool or whatever.
No, because we were Star Trek fans. We were like smarter. We were smarter than that.
And all that means is that you appreciated that at that level of being a Star Trek fan, and us people of color, we appreciated it for that and for this, and that's okay. That's okay.
I can totally understand it because that's the whole reason that Whoopi Goldberg got involved with it, because she was just enamored with the fact that she saw a black woman on television.
There you go.
And that's exactly what she said. We understand that. Yeah,
it said something additional. She saw other levels. That's all that means.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, I don't want to take that away from anybody, though. I don't want to take that away.
Yeah.
I'm saying, yeah.
But we can all agree. My newfound my dislike of season 2. I'm not saying season 1. Season 2 has nothing to do with any of this stuff. It just has to do with bad writing, plotting, story, character.
Yes,
I've said it many times.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, you're right. It's making season 1 look like a great in comparison at this point. The second episode, it's quite a fucking task to watch this shit. But yeah, that's my fault.
Right, well,
I took up way too much time, guys, and I apologize again. Sorry for that. I'm a bit punchy. I haven't got much sleep all week.
My God, are you still talking?
Yeah,
I just drove for 5 hours from Long Island, New York, so I'm.
Oh shit, man! We'll let you get going here because you're beat as hell. I know Rob is late as fuck for him.
Yeah, it's 1:30. Yeah. Hey, Q Storm.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Did Mecca give her final thoughts?
Mecca, did you give your final thoughts?
Oh, my final thoughts is fuck this show. It stinks. It's terrible.
All right.
You win.
Yes. Okay, well, more succinct than that.
That wins. Yes.
All right, Q-Storm, if you would kindly step up onto the transporter pad. Hopefully, it'll work better
We
this
did
time.
have a super chat too before, guys. Just so.
Oh yeah, from Kush to $2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
live long and prosper. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Well, hopefully, let's see. Hope this works this time. Damn it, we got to get that looked at. Oh,
He's still alive.
yeah. Okay, everybody. Thanks for joining us. For myself, for Mecca, for Tom, and for Q Storm. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Trek Log.
Be sure to check out the Red Shirt Podcast.
Was that?
Be sure to check out the Red Shirt Podcast, of course. And
Yes. Check out the Red Shirt Podcast while you're at it. Those guys do great stuff. Yeah. Mecca.
Automatic defense procedures initiated.
Sub to my channel.
Sub to Mecca's channel. You like what we do? Hit us on Patreon. Get all kinds of bonuses, updates, bloopers, lost episodes, the making of Midnight Edge videos, my 10-minute stand-up set, and more. For the support channel, little $1 a month. Click subscribe, like, and click the bell icon that way you're notified of all the latest content. We will see you out. Click and go and check out the Red Shirt Podcast over and over and over again. Check it out till your eyes bleed. Okay, and then go back. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're tired. We're fatigued, and we will catch you next time.